All right, fantasy football owners, we are now on the second part of the fantasy football stock report for week 7 for this week. These are the guys, 5 guys I'm going to talk about here that you kind of want to stray from this week or maybe worry about going forward. Kind of temper your expectations on these guys a little bit. Again, one at each position, and then one wild card that I throw in. I want to talk about a little more than what I do in my Facebook notes. Don't forget, I link to those. The same ones I use here are linked on my Facebook page and here and on my YouTube channel, so check those out as well. And if you're just coming to see this video, don't forget to check out my 5 to Ride video as well. Okay, these are guys that you really want to kind of let us down last week and guys you want to maybe worry about a little bit going forward. At the quarterback position, boy, I mean, I think this only showed that this guy is not among the elite quarterbacks yet. And I mean, granted, they have a good offense and a great defense in San Francisco, but Alex Smith really let his fantasy owners down this past week, especially against the Giants secondary that have been gashed by team this season. They got gashed by Tampa Bay a couple weeks ago, but it just wasn't there this week. 19 of 30, only 200 yards, and had 3 picks. That's definitely the big question mark there, the big trouble thing with Alex Smith is all those picks. That's only 2 fantasy points in a CBS league, so definitely a disheartening performance. The Giants D made him look pedestrian. I mean, just like not like the great quarterback that he's been in San Francisco at times this season. You know, because he's had those breakout weeks in the past. You might think, oh yeah, he's a suitable replacement guy, but this won't get you anywhere. It won't help you. It only makes him the definition of a hair puller. So, and then this week, it doesn't get any better for Smith because he's playing a Seattle D that has been absolutely insane this season. After this performance, I would definitely not start Alex Smith against the Seahawks defense. Just way too risky. You know, they're gonna. I mean, they might try to force him in. I think it's gonna be more of a run thing. I think Frank Gore's gonna be okay, but that secondary in Seattle is just deadly. I mean, Richard Baldwin is talking smack to Tom Brady, okay? I mean, and, you know, you mad, bro. We've all seen it on the internet. So, you know, just really temper things for Alex Smith this week. He's more of a number 2, number 3 play, but I personally would not start him myself if you had him. If your number 1's on a bye and you have no better options, then I guess you ride with it, but really temper your expectations on Alex Smith, guys. Other quarterbacks to kind of worry about, Kevin Cobb, who got hurt, the rib injury. He might miss this week and maybe more going forward. John Skelton takes the job back over in Arizona. Ryan Fitzpatrick, he's the definition of a hair puller. I'll talk more about him in my notes. Unfortunately, I guess I'm eating crow on Andrew Luck. I told you guys to ride with them last week. Sorry. Apparently, the Jets D completely shut him down, and but gets a bit easier this week in the Cleveland matchup, so I see him as a number 2 there. And Matt Schaub, Green Bay. I'm going to talk a lot about Houston Texans guys on this one, guys, because the Packers D showed up and just shut down a lot of Houston's weapons this week. Schaub, Arian Foster didn't have he had a decent week, but not the week you normally expect from him. Andre Johnson. A lot of Houston's weapons were just completely shut down this week. I only have Schaub as a number 2 this week against Baltimore, even though the Ravens, obviously, they lost Hilarious Webb for the season, lost Ray Lewis for the season, but yeah, it's just a worrisome kind of thing. I've had Schaub in the past as my starter. He's put up decent numbers, but I don't think he's in that starter level anymore. You know, not right now, not the way he's playing. On to running backs that I don't like this week and maybe going forward. I hate to say it with my Lions, but what happened to Mikel LeShoure? You know, apparently the Eagles D is a pretty decent unit, although they fired their defensive coordinator this week, but that's probably only because of the comeback by Detroit and not because they shut down Mikel LeShoure. They did. Definitely under his expectations. Didn't find the end zone. 15 carries for 70 yards and 3 catches for 24. It's only 9 fantasy points. I do reward the Eagles, though, for shutting him down. You know, he's shown his talent in winning the starting job, so that's huge. He's going to get the work, and the Lions have already said, we're not playing Javad Best this year. So any of you owners holding out hope for Javad Best, you can cut him loose. They've shut him down for the year, so LeShoure is going to be the guy. And I don't see Jockey Bell, however you pronounce that first name, I can't pronounce it. Unless LeShoure gets hurt, he's not going to be the starter. So But even though LeShoure almost hit double digits against this Eagles D, you're definitely not starting him against the Bears defense. No, just don't do it. Don't. He's going to have much tougher sledding this week. I would be surprised if LeShoure even gets to 5 fantasy points against the Bears defense. The Bears they're just so tough a unit. Maybe even 3 points or less. I mean, I'm just so confident. Okay, we'll go 4. We'll meet in the middle. 4 points or less for Mikel LeShoure this week. I don't think he's going to find. I think Stafford's going to have to throw on the Bears with Megatron and Burleson and Pettigrew and all the weapons that are there in Detroit. They are not going to beat Chicago via the run. I just don't see it happening. So if I were you, if you have better options, by all means, sit Mikel LeShoure this week. I don't like the matchup. I don't think he's going to come through for you this week. So find better options or just roll with guys you got. Sit Mikel LeShoure. Other running backs to worry about that I will talk about in my notes. Willis McGahee had a tough week this week. Of course, he's on a bye this week, so you're sitting him this week. Obviously, I'll talk about his tough performance. The one wild card I want to give you, though, this is my wild card this week. Steven Jackson. What do fantasy owners now do with a guy that in the past has been so reliable that usually is the only weapon usually in the Rams offense? The one that really Rams owners can count on, because really you can't count on Sam Bradford week to week. You counted on Danny Amendola when he was healthy, but now he's going to be out for a long time. He's not worth holding on to at this point. I don't think you can really trust guys like Brandon Gibson yet or Chris Gibbons yet. Brian Quick's completely out of the equation. I thought he was going to be a dark horse sleeper receiver this year. He's not. But this is the concern. S-Jax only had 12 carries on 52 yards and 3 catches on 28 yards. He did have a 2-point conversion, so that's 9 fantasy points. But it's clear now that he is in a timeshare with Daryl Richardson, and the Rams are certainly looking to the future because he's going to be a free agent next year. They're going to let him go. It looks like Richardson's going to be a guy. Plus, they drafted Isaiah Peed, so he can't be too far behind. I would definitely just avoid this messy situation altogether. I don't know if you can afford to actually cut Jackson loose yet, but certainly unless there's a clear-cut number one or if something pans out, I just wouldn't trust it. I wouldn't trust it at this point. Plus, they're playing the Packers D this week. Hello, they just held Arian Foster and Houston's weapons in check. I would completely avoid it altogether. But if you have no better options, I treat Jackson more of a number 2, Richardson more of a number 3 in that matchup. But you never know who's going to get the bulk of the work. And a couple other guys I'll talk about in my notes. Alex Green of Green Bay and Ben Jarvis Green-Ellis of Cincinnati also had tough weeks this week. The wideouts, wide receiver. I mentioned Andre Johnson, but he's not really the one that I'm kind of trying to avoid this week. I'm looking at Torrey Smith of Baltimore. He really started to emerge as really kind of a top receiving threat in Baltimore. Obviously they also try to get Anquan Boldin more involved in the offense as well, and Dennis Pitta. But Smith was starting to really be a breakout guy, especially coming off that big performance after the play the night after his brother died. And we thought that would carry over through the whole season. Well, unfortunately, it was a tough going this time. Only 2 catches for 24 yards. He had a touchdown, but really, Boldin had a better game than he did. He was only targeted 4 times in the whole game. So it's really, really hard to tell each week who Joe Flacco is going to really throw to and rely on for the vast majority of the game. So for this week, going up against a Houston team, and granted they just got destroyed by that Packers offense. So clearly the Texans secondary is not great. It's a clear weakness. I'm going to look at Smith and Boldin as maybe number 3 options because, again, it's kind of that timeshare thing. You don't know which guy is going to get targeted more. I think you can safely start both guys if you have receivers on a bye this week or if you have no better options out there on the wire. I think you can look at each guy as maybe number 3 guy this week. But, again, it just depends. It just depends on who's Flacco is going to throw to, who he's going to get involved in the offense. Who's going to get the touchdown? That's really the big question between Smith and Boldin, or even Pitta, if Pitta takes touchdowns away from these guys. So who's going to get the score? So again, that's why I look at both of them as number 3 plays. both can maybe be in for 60, 70-yard days. That's really all I see him at this point, because that Texas secondary apparently is so exploitable. There's bound to be at least a couple touchdowns thrown by Flacco this week, but who are they going to go to? That's the big question. That's the thing you have to think about if you have either one of these guys or even both of these guys in your fantasy lineup. Again, I mentioned Andre Johnson. C Shaw, Matt, C Packers D destroying them. I don't think he's going to be too troubling going forward. Again, with also Reggie Wayne, but Luck, of course, got shut down, so really that's not too big of a shocker. I'll talk more about these guys in my notes. Julio Jones, again, the hair puller. I don't understand what the hype was over him. He didn't have a touchdown this week either. He was still targeted 8 times, but you never know when it's going to be him or Roddy White going off. Obviously, you're setting both of them this week because the bye week, but again, you never know. But he could be good for week 8 because it's the Eagles that week. They probably will focus more on Roddy White, who's the clear number 1. So Jones might have a breakout look. And Hakeem Nicks, I think Cruz has leapfrogged him as the number 1 guy. I think it's clear. Or is Nicks fully recovered from that foot and knee issue? We don't know for sure, but he's definitely been disappointing. I think he's more of a number 2 until he breaks out. And finally, tight ends. Boy, what can we say about Heath Miller? So much for the Pro Bowl. I don't think he's getting there now. I mean, Big Ben made the comment that, oh yeah, I'm going to try to get Heath Miller to the Pro Bowl. Well, Miller has kind of had 2 back-to-back dud weeks. I mean, he hadn't found the end zone. He only had 6 catches for 67 yards this week. We're kind of left scratching our head if we're a Miller owner. So, Big Ben's looking to Mike Wallace and Brown a little bit more, and even Emmanuel Sanders, who had more catches, I think, than Miller did in the last game. So, until he finds a way to be more consistent at this position, I think he's nothing more than a number 2 option against Cincinnati this week. But the Bengals got burned by Brandon Wheaton, so who knows what to expect there. But I only see Miller as a number 2 until he develops more of a consistency. I will also talk about guys like Jared Cook, Joel Dreesen, Fred Davis, Owen Daniels, and Vernon Davis in my fantasy notes this week, which will be linked on my channel and on here as well. All right, guys, those are the guys I don't like this week, the guys you want to worry about going forward. Don't forget, if you haven't yet, check out the 5 to Ride video as well, also on my channel. And, of course, the link to the Facebook notes page as well. Again, also, if you have any questions or comments, please let me know. I know I've been really, really busy lately with work, but I will try to answer as many as I can get to. But please feel free. If you have any questions on guys that I don't talk about or what's in my notes, feel free to let me know. So good luck again this week in Week 7, guys. We'll do it all again next week. And thank you again so much for your support. Thank you for watching. Thank you for just all the understanding you guys have and your patience. And just thank you guys so much for tuning in. Take care. God bless you guys. Good luck in Week 7.